going to bring in the legend, Kathleen Norton-Schock. Everybody in the IT industry knows Kathleen.
All right. How are you
She
guys?
knows everybody in the IT industry. Doing all right.
Yep. So she joins us once a month, usually. Sometimes she's been, I know she was traveling, I think, or something. I know you're
January. Yeah, I think the last time we talked was December.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was December, late December when we talked. So there's got to be a whole bunch of MCWT stuff then if you got 2 months worth to catch up on, right?
Right. So thanks very much for having us. I'm here to chat a little bit about the Michigan Council of Women in Technology, for whom I'm a 19-year volunteer. I think we announced, and you got a press release, Mike, that we have new leadership in place, and actually talked about it, I think, in early December, which was our first podcast. So our new president is Rajani Sinha, and our new vice president is Jill Majorano. Rajani is with Stellantis. Jill is with Microsoft. They're both longtime leaders, volunteers at MCWT. So that was really nice news. We had a couple of events recently, and because I'm coming on later in the month, we won't talk too much about those except to say that we kicked off our first ConnectNet of the year, and it went really, really well. And our very first Lunch and Learn, which was a leadership 1 hour with Marcy Clevorn. Marcy is previously the president of mobility for Ford. Prior to that, she was Ford's chief information officer for many years. And she is also previous president of the Michigan Council of Women in Technology. So that took place this past week. Full house, all online. And we'll have a recording, and I can get it to you guys if you'd like to see it and distribute it at any point. But now we're at the end of February. Practically if you look at March, practically at the end of the first quarter. And I think our biggest announcement right now is that for the 6th year in a row, we are sponsoring Michigan's Woman of the Year in Technology Award. Applications opened just a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. And it's a unique award. We were the first to do it here. Cranes followed us a few years later and actually called me for some recommendations on candidates at the time, which was quite funny. But in any case, we only award one, right? Cranes does a much bigger program. But technically this award, it's in its 5th year, actually. We kicked it off 6 years ago, but actually began to award it 5 years ago. And the deadline for the award is March 4th. Anyone who would like to nominate themselves or someone else. The criteria is pretty simple. Recipients don't have to be current members of the council, the Michigan Council of Women in Technology. To qualify, all they need to do is be a woman who has either led or is currently leading some kinds of initiatives, teams, parts of a company, parts of a nonprofit, and who in her work embodies MCWT's mission. And as you guys well know, because you've been welcoming me here for a number of years, MCWT's mission is that of inspiring and growing girls and women in technology in the state of Michigan. So the person has led positive change in some way or is currently leading positive change for women who are either working, teaching, or studying technology and computer-related careers and fields of study. As I said, the person does not need to be a current or previous member of MCWT. And the last bunch of women who got this are pretty interesting, right? They're very diverse. Last year's awardee was Melanie Kalmer, who's the Chief Information Officer for Dow. Prior to her, though, we had Diane Jones, who heads the Office of the CIO for the University of Michigan. So she comes from the academic field. Prior to that, we had an engineering director from Ford, a great woman who's been a longtime friend of mine, Judy Asher, who has gone on. She recently left Ford, but now she's working for a healthcare institution and is still very active at MCWT. Prior to that, we had Allison Gleason, who is a longtime Cisco person and had led all of North American sales for Cisco. So these are women with various and sundry personal missions. but with one thing in common, that they all, in one way, shape, or form, are role models for and have encouraged girls and women to continue to pursue technology careers. You can download the application if you have someone you would like to nominate at mcwt.org/programs list/career leadership initiatives/woman of the year, or just go to our website, www.mcwt.org, and we have those flashing banners at the top, and it'll come up and you can just touch the banner and boom, we'll get you right into that rather long address that I just gave you. As I said, the deadline is March 4th, so that's coming up pretty quickly. And we will be awarding the award. It's going to stay secret. They'll be voting, and there's a whole team of people working on evaluating the various candidates as they do every year. We'll be awarding it on May 5th. We have 3 to 4 major events every year, and May 5th is the next very, very big one. And that one is MCWT's Executive Connections Summit. The theme of the May 5th event, and we usually have, last year we did it digitally, but every year we've done it in person, and we'll be doing it in person this year at the Suburban Collection in Novi. We have a minimum of 500 to 700 people who attend. And it is a full day's program, always very interesting, thought-provoking, insightful. This year's theme is Reboot, Refresh, and Reach. And reach in this case means your goals, your network, and other people, right? Mm. And we think that it's not just the sibilance of those 3 R's, but we think that in this particular year, post-COVID, that's a pretty appropriate theme. So as I said, the site of this year's Executive Connection Summit, MCWT Executive Connection Summit, which again, is always a very robust program, and easily, I think the first year it had 300 people, and then it just kept accelerating. I think I just said 700 was the top, but I think actually 2 years ago we had 900 people there. And they tend to be people at all levels of the one thing they have in common is an interest in technology, and they tend to be here in Michigan, although we've had people come from Ohio and Wisconsin and Indiana in some years. Registration for that particular event will open late in March or early April. We're working right now on the agenda to be an exhibitor. So first of all, we have 3 major sponsors for that event this year. Stellantis, formerly FCA Chrysler, right? General Motors and Ford. And Stellantis is taking the lead as what we would call the signature sponsor for this year's event. But we have a lot of exhibitor spots open. You could be a small technology company. You could be a nonprofit. We don't care, there's plenty of room at the Suburban Collection. There always is. And they have I don't know if you've ever done an event there, but they have a lot of space to move things around. So we're anticipating, I don't know how many exhibitors we'll have. A couple of years back, I think we had at least 40. So in any case, I would suggest that if anybody would like to exhibit, or would even like to be part of the speaker panoply, although that may be fully recruited at this point, but just in case, they can contact us at partnership@mcwt.org. So that is the word partnership and at mcwt.org. And we'll welcome sponsors for this. So that's the spring major event. And then we have 2 golf classics coming up this coming summer and early fall. The Southeast Michigan Golf Classic, put the date on your calendar, is July 25th. And the West Michigan Golf Classic is September 19th. And both of those, of course, are truly there to really just raise money for our wide array of programs, right? Scholarship programs for college women, our summer camps for girls, our lunch and learns, our various leadership academies, all the things that we've been doing for over 20 years now.
So are the summer camps coming back in person this year?
Yes, so I'm so glad you said that. I was going to get to that in a minute. When I got to the girls'
sorry,
program.
I stepped on your cue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I should start to rev up anyway. Charlotte, I only have about 6 more minutes. Our university scholarship program, and again, we've done now, it's about 1.5 million over almost 18 years in scholarships for college age women and master's candidates. That program has closed. Because when I was here in December, we were midway through and we were pushing for that deadline, which was end of December. So we will be announcing that in the spring. You guys will get a press release about it, and we probably will announce the scholarship winners again in some other venue. So that's really great. But the one thing that's open right now for middle school girls and early high school girls is we, along with Lawrence Technological University,
I've heard of them.
We also sponsor robotics grants and Robofest, right? And that's coming up pretty quickly. And we, meaning MCWT, are still accepting applications for all female girls teams. So anybody who's interested, please go to the website. You can go into the K-12 programs, or again, it'll be one of those moving banners at the top. You can touch it. And if you would like to apply for one of our $500 grants, please do so. Also, we have a very lively internship program for anybody, college-age girls who will who in some way, shape, or form would like to be matched with one of our 120 sponsors, many of whom are looking for summer interns. So again, if you would like to do that, if you have a resume or even just your transcript, and you are a technologically oriented girl / young woman, please send a resume to mcwtintern@mcwt.org, and we'll help match you to a partner company. If you go to our website, you'll see a lot of success stories that revolve, and many of them are women who started out as interns and then just went straight up the ladder in one way, shape, or form, right? And come back and usually pay it back in some way. And then, yes, Matt, as you were asking about, in-person summer camps will be taking place again in June through August. I'm not sure the exact number. I think the biggest number we had just a couple of years back of the in-person camps was we had 14 of them. We may go higher this year, I don't know, but we also, because of COVID 2 years ago, to supplement those camps and actually we moved them all online, we also will have, because it was so successful, a virtual learning series. And again, it tends to be, it's a 5-day camp for girls in 4th through 8th grade. We do coding sessions. We do some robotics sessions. We did a few very exciting things last year, and it's temporary. I will probably talk about it again in the spring if I'm lucky enough to get on your podcast, and I'll have the exact agenda for that at that point. But that's always great. We always do a couple of hundred girls every summer. And as I said, we just had 2 very successful February, one ConnectNet and one Lunch and Learn. And the only other upcoming small event that we have coming up is this week. For, we have a very large number of volunteers, and we're doing, instead of giving in-person awards, which several years back, we used to have an in-person gathering, with cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and everybody would get little statues or little certificates. Now we're going to be doing it online this year. And it's going to be a trivia night on March 3rd. But you would have been invited if you were a volunteer. So I don't know if we'll talk about that on the website or not. And I think that's it. Our other big fundraising event takes place this year on November 5th. Again, if you want to mark your calendar, what I call the IT prom, right, which is the MCWT dress up gala. And as you guys know, we raised a lot of money again this past year. You got a press release about it. And that goes back to fund all these other programs that we do usually for girls, and then master's class women in MBA programs, technology MBA programs, and to cover all the rest of our expenses around a lot of things like camps and lunch and learns and all that kind of stuff. So do you have any other questions for me? I'm 1 minute from ending here.
No, just tell people how to get a hold of the organization, how to get a hold of you.
Right. So it's www.mcwt.org. And all of our contact information is there. Across the top and down the sides, and it's a very full site, right? So I would suggest that if someone comes and visits it, you explore the programs, the events, go into our press room. You'll see all the press releases dating back just 3 or 4 years, but there's a lot of them. And then those that are coming up in the future are usually put there immediately. You know, so the one, for instance, that talked about how much money we raised from Gala and what that would be used for came out in December.